Thank you to all the beautiful people out there who have just pressed C. I am your host, Chicken, and today we're not so much back for another Funny Moments video. We are here for some gaming discussion, is what I guess I'm going to call this series. Now, this is unscripted. This is all my thoughts on, just my thoughts on the gaming community right now. I'll have like a topic, and as of now, I guess I'll pick a topic to elaborate on. So that topic for today's episode is underrated games. Now, there has been a lot of these throughout time. So for simplicity's sake, I'm going to stick with 2015 and one of my personal favorite games from 2014. So let's get into this. So, underrated games. When I hear that, the first thing that pops into my head is Dying Light. Now, I do a lot of Dying Light on this channel. In fact, I think I do a little bit too much of it, because like the last 3 videos of mine have been Dying Light. And I know I like to switch it up so people don't get tired of the same thing over and over. So, yeah, but Dying Light. Now, this game is like Mirror's Edge combined with Dead Island is what a lot of people were calling it. This game controls so fluently. I know it has a couple of parkour bugs every now and then, but those are just little one-time things that may happen again, but they don't really ruin gameplay for you. And that's not to mention like all the great gameplay mechanics it has. It has excellent combat. It has an okay storyline, but I really think the storyline is okay for what kind of game it is. So, that's your opinion, but I really do think that Dying Light was a great game. It had good gameplay. It had an okay story. It's like, well, parkour would be gameplay mechanics, so I guess that goes hand in hand. But the point is, it was such an underrated game for all that it did, but everything that people saw, they did every bad thing that every good thing that someone saw about the game, there was probably, like, I'm not even lying, a good maybe 3 things bad said about it, which may not sound like a lot, but that adds up. Like, people, it was like the whole craze for like maybe a month or so. Then after that, it just mysteriously disappeared and no one talked about it again. I do think that it deserves some more recognition for everything that it did right. Because, I don't know about you, but everything that was good everything that was good about that game that was said, I believe outweighed the negatives of that game. This is just my opinion, but I do think that it was a good game overall. And that leads me into my second game, which is, you can call me out on this, but this is one of my personal favorite shooter games of all time. And this was Titanfall. Yes, I know, Titanfall. This was released back in February of 2014, I believe. And I'm going to be honest, I probably have a good 300 hours logged on that game. That game was just so fluent in the way the mobility system was laid out, in the way of everything. Like, the one place that I do think that everyone did call it out on, though, was its weapon system. The weapon system was just terrible in that game. They had maybe 10 weapons, 15, and it just wasn't enough to keep the gameplay real. Like, at least in Call of Duty, and I'm comparing this to Call of Duty here. That's how low I've gone. Anyways, at least Call of Duty has a good variety of weapons to use. At the end of the day, they all boil down to the same, like, idea, but isn't that the idea with every game? Well, every shooter game at least. But another thing that Titanfall messed up on was its only multiplayer feature. Now that was just a dumb idea to whoever thought that. Because yes, I know that basically everyone nowadays only plays multiplayer in their shooters, but it's still never a bad idea to incorporate a single player in there. So number one, when someone's Wi-Fi is down, they can still play their game. Number two, because some people just don't like playing online. Like, you can see I'm playing Payday 2 here. I don't like playing Payday 2 online because I just don't like talking with a lot of the people in the community. Because, number one, you can't always trust everyone. Number two, not everyone is always going to be at least docile to you. There's always going to be that one dude who just starts this flame war between you and them. So yeah, I think Titanfall could have improved on that. But still, it was a very underrated game, and I do think it deserved more recognition. Now, while I'm on the topic of the ratings of games, I'm going to go ahead and pull in an overrated game. And I'm probably going to get a lot of crap for this in the comments, but I'm going to call it The Witcher 3. Like, I know a lot of people love The Witcher 3. I found it okay, but I do think that it could have been better, is what I'm saying. The Witcher 3, yes, it had smooth gameplay, it had great graphics. I'm going to say that. It probably had the best graphics of any game in 2015. It's probably tied with one. I don't know which games that were graphically good of 2015. I do think that Until Dawn was good, but I still don't think that it compares to The Witcher 3. But that's not to say that The Witcher 3 was all sunshine and lollipops. No, it had its fair share of hiccups in games. It had a lot of frame drops because the game was so demanding. And number 3, to me, The Witcher, all of the Witchers just get very repetitive, which is my one big pet peeve in gaming. I like to keep it fresh. I like to make sure that I'm not playing the same thing 15 times over. Which is probably why I don't really play Call of Duty that much anymore. But, anyways, I do think that if The Witcher 3 just wasn't so repetitive to me, it wasn't just the same guy fighting a bunch of enemies, it would have been better. But then again, that's like the main idea of every game nowadays. So, you can call me out in this in the comments. But yeah, that's just what I think. You can think otherwise, but this is just my opinion. Well, now I'm going to go back on the topic of underrated games. And another game that screams underrated to me was Fallout 4. Now, Fallout 4, yes, it had its bugs and everything, but I really didn't find the bugs to be that bad. What I find to be bad is unplayable stuff, like when the game completely will crash on you after doing something. To me, Fallout 4 didn't do that. It was playable for a good time. It still is playable for me. I don't know, I just don't play it because I've really been focusing my content on Dying Light in the past few days, but I digress. Anyways, Fallout 4, it had a lot of content. Where I think it went wrong was all the bugs in the game. And it didn't try anything new, really. It was just really buggy to some people, and a lot of people don't like that for some reason. Fallout 4 to me had a lot of bugs, don't get me wrong, but I liked using the bugs for a good laugh. There's a difference between a game-breaking bug and a bug that is just a minor annoyance to me. And the ones that are just a minor annoyance, I'm fine with. And there are also like the funny bugs, which are the bugs that I love, because I can just get a good laugh out of them. And there's nothing really bad about them. They just make you laugh, which is my favorite part about some of these. Another thing about this game that was so underrated was like how much content it had, but some people didn't even recognize that. The game had a lot of content, but like I said, they didn't really try much new, which I think was a weak point of the game. But I still don't understand why it got so much crap at its launch. It could have been graphics, it could have been bugs, it could have been anything really. But I don't think that it deserved that kind of rating. Anyways though, you can think what you want. I'm not like a fanboy who's going to hunt anyone down for saying bad things about their game. But I do think that it could have been... I do think that it should have gotten a little higher of a rating. And another game that... I'm just going to try and make this quick. Another game that does scream underrated to me was Just Cause 3. And now it's not so much underrated. It was more underrated when the game first came out. Because I guess what had happened is like there was a lot of performance issues with it when like the explosions would go off, and I can see why. Those things are really demanding in games because you're doing a lot of physics and just a lot of demanding scenes. But you couldn't have optimized the game any better before you had just released it to everyone. But other than that, it was really smooth in gameplay. It was really smooth in like its weapon system, its entire like drop system. Although I do think that I just don't like the way Just Cause does it with the airdrops. I know it's more realistic that you lose money every time, but how I like drops in my games is when once you buy something you own it forever. It's not just like you have to buy it every time. That's what I hated about like the Just Cause drop system. But it's not really that big of a deal. You can work your way around it if you play enough of the game. I just don't I haven't really even played Just Cause 3 yet. You can call me out on that too. I haven't played the game, but from what I can tell, and from a lot of other people can tell as well, who think like me, that the game was really smooth gameplay-wise, until you reach the explosions, which I do think could have been optimized better. That's just my point there. You can think what you want. That's basically the point of this video. It's my opinion. You can think what you want, but everything here is just an opinion. It's not a set-in-stone copy of what everyone should think. It's not like that. But I think that's all I had to say in this video, so if you guys want to see something like this grow into a series, be sure to let me know by either liking, commenting, or subscribing. You know what to do. Just give me a sign that you want to see this continue. If you put a dot in the comment, I'll respond with a dot, and I guess what that means is I'll do it. I don't know where I'm going with this, but anyways, until you press see next time, this is your host Chicken, signing off.